Hello everybody, it is Tom and welcome to another video.
I've been going to some dark places. I hate it when my mind races. I've got so many.
Trying to find the lighting that does not highlight my dark circles quite as much. If I move closer to the window, would that help? I still look very tired. I'll just hold my hand like this. This is very attractive. All right, so we are back with Heartstopper Season 3, and finally we're moving on to the last episode of the season, and it is called Apart. And yeah, for anyone who's interested, last time I tried something a little bit different where I put my reaction on Patreon for free and just put the intro to the video on YouTube. Long story short, YouTube has been really cracking down on reaction content lately. A lot of creators are being affected by this. A lot of people are having their reactions blocked, and essentially the editing tricks that used to be okay are suddenly no longer okay. They're not really taking fair use into account anymore, which is unfortunate because fair use is a thing. So what I did last time was I posted just the intro on YouTube and then posted the full video on Patreon, which did work, but also the intro video did terribly. So like, I don't know what to do, essentially. So I'm just going back to my previous way of doing a reaction video, and then I'm just going to see. We're just going to see what happens. I'm going to try posting this on YouTube. It might get blocked immediately. I'll do my best. I will still be posting it on Patreon. So if anything happens to the YouTube version, there's another option. But bottom line is I don't know what the answer is. All right, so with all of that out of the way, let's get into episode 8, the final episode. Now, when I first saw the names of the episodes, the fact that episode 7 is called Together and episode 8 is called Apart does seem alarming. Like, especially if you're not familiar with the trajectory of the comics, you might go into it being like, oh no, are they going to break up? What's going to happen? But we'll talk about the meaning for that, I assume. Anyway, okay, let's get into it. So what just happened in episode 7 was that Nick and Charlie, basically Charlie had a fight with his mom about him wanting to have a sleepover with Nick, and his mom saying, oh, I don't know if you're ready for that yet. And Charlie was upset and he stormed over to Nick's, and the fact that they had an empty house because Sarah Nelson has temporarily winked out of existence enabled them to finally be intimate with one another. And we are picking up just after that.
This is not what I expected to happen today.
Can't believe we waited so long.
Oh, that's so nice. I think a lot of media where we have an intimate scene between characters, often there's the fade to black, and then we don't really see the immediate aftermath. We don't get to see this moment where they're kind of connecting and talking about what's just happened. I think it's really important that we have this moment for Nick and Charlie.
You don't mind I kept my shirt on, do you?
I loved every second of what just happened.
So Charlie kind of nervously asks if Nick is okay with the fact that he kept his shirt on. And Nick just immediately and genuinely reassures him like, no, I loved everything about what just happened. I love that for Nick and Charlie, sex is allowed to be something that brings them closer together, and that is just a natural extension of the deep bond that they have with each other, and just like the basic thing of wanting to make the person that you love the most feel good. There's so many reasons to have sex, and I'm not putting shade on any of them. Whatever is right for you is right for you. But I love to see this kind of expression of love through physical acts of intimacy. It's really nice to see, and of course it's perfect for Nick and Charlie. Did that make any sense? Who knows? My lips are dry, and my mouth is dry. I don't know why I'm going Okay, moving on.
Good. Me too.
And the fact that they're just laying here staring into each other's eyes, like, that is intimacy. You can have sex with someone without being truly intimate, but their intimacy is their bond with each other.
I feel like we're gonna have to practice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, loads of practice.
Yeah.
And we get to see them still being very much in character, like having sex has not changed the way that they relate to each other. They've still got that playfulness and joking with each other, and it's great to see. Aw, and then they kiss.
Do you think it counts as sex if it's just touching?
This is such an important moment, and one that I have seen other reactors have differing opinions about. But I think it's so important, especially in a time where we recognize queer relationships. It's important that we recognize that sex is not just this goes in here and that's the end. Like, there's so much more to it than that. The very traditional idea of what virginity means is outdated at this point. And I love that this show goes out of its way to make this point, that having an intimate experience with someone does not have to be defined in only one way. And when you're a queer person, sometimes it literally cannot be defined in that way. I have heard some reactors, even members of the queer community, say, well, no, that's ridiculous. That doesn't count. That's not really sex. Like, no, it's sex. Like, it all falls under that category. And defining it as only one thing is not super inclusive, so maybe don't do that. But yeah, the bottom line is, what is the bottom line? The bottom line is, I love that they're allowing for this expansive definition of what sex and intimacy actually are, and that it's a lot broader, it's a lot more of a spectrum, as most things are, than the traditional views might say.
I think sex can be all sorts of things.
Exactly. Sex can be all sorts of things.
Still loads of things we could do.
You've been researching, haven't you?
No, of course I haven't been researching.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's no way Nick has not been researching. His first move when it comes to anything is, I shall Google this.
Okay, maybe a little bit.
I'm going to look at your internet history.
Absolutely not.
Okay, don't look at someone's internet history. We see all of the universities that Nick has been looking at.
Some of these are really far away.
But my top choices are local. I've been kind of worried about being away from you.
That's a really telling sentence. I've been kind of worried about being away from you. The way that he phrases that, it's clear, like, it's not just that he's worried about how it will affect Charlie if he moves away, but he's worried about himself because he doesn't really know, as he's mentioned before, and I think we'll mention again, he feels like he doesn't really know who he is without Charlie. I think for Nick especially, and I can't remember if I said this before, but I think for Nick especially, because him coming into himself and, realizing who he is and the real personality that he talks about having been buried for so long, that happened because of Charlie. So I think it's easy for him to feel like, does this version of me only exist with Charlie? Like, if Charlie's not there, do I retreat back into my old self? Is this new version of me only around when I'm with Charlie? And just in general, like, when you draw so much of your happiness from one person, it's pretty natural to worry about what life will be like when you're not with that person. But ultimately, and we'll talk about this in the theme of the episode, apart, ultimately, it is just so important to be able to be apart from the person that you love. Like, I think I'm going to go on a little rant here, but I think it is so romanticized, the idea of like, oh, these people are so dependent on each other. They love each other so much that they literally cannot be apart. And that is very romantic, but it's also not the healthiest situation. Like, you need to be two complete people who together are stronger, and when you're together, everything is better. But you have the capacity to be apart, and you are two separate people who work really well together, but are not unhealthily combined, if that makes sense. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, your top choices are close by, right? And you're definitely getting.
Yeah, Nick's face says so much here. Like, the fact that getting into the local school is not what's worrying him at all.
Is that your mum?
I wish they could have had, like, even just a voice recording of Olivia Colman saying, like, I'm home, or something like that. Like, literally anything aside from just, like, keys jangle, door closes. It's not her. She's not there. There's a burglar. You have a burglar in your house, Nicholas. Oh, and Nick drives him home. I keep forgetting Nick has his driver's license now. That's such a cute little car as well. And Charlie, of course, wearing one of Nick's shirts, as always.
I love you.
I love you.
Aww. I know they say, oh, I can't believe we waited so long, but I'm so glad that Nick and Charlie were able to wait until they were fully ready. And even a bit beyond when they were fully ready. But like, I love so much that things happened this way for them, that they didn't get rushed into it, that they didn't get pressured into having sex before they were ready to, and that they were able to have like just this beautiful expression of how they feel about each other in a more physical way. Like, A++. And we see a little hint of Nick's stress about them being apart when he goes off to university, kind of in his face here. Okay, and we see the hands pulling apart. Oh, Tori's bunny slippers. Oh, I like her. Tori is wearing like circa 2009 Phil Lester core right now. Ripped black skinny jeans and a yellow flannel.
5 straight years. Why
Yeah.
is all you wore check shirts?
You mean 5 secretly gay years?
Don't look at me like that. You come home in Michael's clothes all the time.
That's different. Charlie?
Yeah, and of course, when Charlie left, there was a lot of yelling between him and his mom. Julio in the support role. We've talked before about how the Nelson household is always full of really warm lighting, and the Spring household tends to be a bit cooler in its lighting, a bit colder. And in this shot too, like the kitchen is quite cold and dark, but we do have this kind of warm light right behind Charlie's mom. Kind of the suggestion that maybe warmth will come from this.
I'm sorry I snapped. I'm always going to worry about you, Charlie. I can't help it. I'm your mum. But I know I can be overbearing.
I love that she apologizes. Now, I do think that both of them overreacted in that conversation for sure, but I love that she apologizes as the parent and that she lets him know the reason for her behavior is not because she thinks that he can't do things. It comes from a place of worry and concern and love, which, you know, doesn't make the overbearingness better, but does at least make it more understandable.
My mum was a bit like this too. She was never very nice to me. She was controlling and sometimes...
That's such a terrifying thing too. Like when you have a parent who treats you in a really negative way, that fear of unintentionally carrying that on to the next generation, I think it's really difficult sometimes to break away from that sort of programming where you kind of learn as a child, oh, this is what the parent-child relationship is. And even if as a child you're seeing like, oh, this is terrible, this is horrible, I don't like this, you might still unwillingly behave that way when you become a parent yourself. Alice has done a short story about Jane and Julio and going into more detail about Jane's backstory. But overall, I think it's pretty clear that she is so much better as a parent. She has improved upon the situation very much, but still can't really help channeling a bit of that energy, a bit of the controlling aspect. Like, it seems like in her low moments or when she feels defensive, she kind of falls back into that sort of behavior that probably her mother taught her through example. But it's good that she's aware of that and she's trying to be better.
I swore I wouldn't become like her, but I think in some ways, maybe I have.
You're not like her.
I love also that Charlie steps in immediately to reassure her and be like, no, no, you're not like her. Do not worry about it. This moment to me speaks so much for Charlie as a person. Like, it's similar. It reminds me a little bit of when they're in Paris and Tao confesses when they're on the bridge that he was the reason why Charlie got outed. And even though that revelation is something that you can see Charlie react to and that it's something that stuns and maybe hurts him a little, he still immediately jumps in to reassure Tao. It's not your fault, you didn't mean to, etc., etc. So in this situation too, even though Jane's parenting style has definitely hurt him and that the two of them, butt heads a lot over it, still he immediately jumps in to reassure her, you're not like her.
But I can be quick to anger, and that's unfair on you.
I just want to live my life like a normal teenager.
And you're sensible, I know you are.
And I love that Jane here reassures him, saying, you're sensible, I know you are. Like, Charlie really needs to hear this from his mom, who he thinks of him as a child, as weak, as someone who can't do things for himself, etc., which is clearly not true. Like, she cares about him. She's worried about him. She has extra reason to feel that way because she literally almost lost him because she didn't know what was really going on with him. So I understand her protectiveness, but it's great too that she's found the strength. Probably, I'm sure talking with Julio helped, because he's clearly more on this page of like, yeah, we worry about Charlie, we love him, we want to keep him safe, but he's a sensible kid. He knows what he's doing. He will make mistakes, but we can trust him.
Boyfriend sleepovers are a really big step emotionally. I would feel much less worried about you if you waited a few more weeks.
I think she does a great job here of explaining her reasoning in a calm way. And the fact that it's just the two of them helps a lot too, because earlier, I think one of the big reasons why she got so defensive was because, she was kind of, the situation was more public because Tori was there, Julio was there, and she had the feeling, rightly so, that she was the only person in the kitchen who had any reservations about Charlie and Nick having their boyfriend sleepovers. So she felt like she was being ganged up on, and that's what made her defensive and made her start lashing out. So here, when it's just her and Charlie sitting together quietly, both of them have calmed down, emotions are not playing so much of a factor, she's able to express how she feels to him in a calm and rational way, and he's able to accept it because he understands this is just a really good example of good communication is what I'm saying. Yeah, and again, speaking about the light, once again, just like we had the kind of warm light, the small warm light behind Jane, we now have like the warm light of the lamp behind Charlie. So kind of even though they're in a cold environment, nonetheless there are spots of warmth coming through.
Can that be our compromise?
And the fact that she doesn't tell him this is what you're doing, she's literally asking him, can this be our compromise? It is a question rather than a command. Really makes all the difference.
Okay, fine.
And that's a big part of why Charlie agrees to it, I'm sure.
I'm sorry I got angry too.
And Charlie also apologizes. So I love that they've both apologized in this situation.
You don't have to be sorry.
And we really don't see a lot of physical affection between Charlie and his mom. So I love that not only does she tell him, you don't have to be sorry, kind of taking more of the responsibility on herself as the parent, but also, the very tender kind of touching of his cheek to kind of reinforce what she's saying with physical touch. And once again, we have yet another echo of the first episode of Charlie walking through the halls. It's so interesting to look at all these. Like the very first one, we have Charlie walking through the halls on the first day of school, excited to see Ben, not knowing what's ahead of him. Well, the first day of school after break. And then we have Charlie, after he and Nick have declared that they are boyfriends, Charlie walking through the halls, happy and excited to see Nick. And now we have Charlie, older, more confident, walking down the halls, smiling, happy, feeling good about himself and his situation and who he is and what's going on in his life. And it's lovely to see. And the way he sits down is like,
What are you smiling about?
nothing.
It happened, didn't it?
And the way that they're so happy for him. Okay, and then it's time for some sexy montages interspersed with studying. I assume Mr. Farouk is not running this study hall because the vibes are extremely different. We have Nick looking at college brochures. Oh, and Charlie playing in the band with Sahar. I love that Charlie joined Sahar's band. Charlie taking the GCSEs.
Is that your mom?
Poor Sarah Nelson. She exists. She exists in this season only as loud noises from the other room.
Imogen, are you sure you've got enough stuff?
Well, I had to reduce my skincare routine, so I had a whole other bag.
Icon. Honestly, though, my whole life, this has been me. Like, I am a chronic overpacker because it is my nightmare to be somewhere and need something and not have it.
You'll definitely be back for the fete on Saturday. Our band starts at 4 p.m.
I'll be there.
And we'll talk about this in what will inevitably be part 2 of this video, but I love the idea that Charlie feels like he needs Nick to be there for him to be able to play the drums at the fete. And yeah, we'll talk about what happens later. I love too how far we've come with Nick and Charlie. We're like just remembering that moment in the first episode of season 2 where Nick hesitates for such a long time to kiss Charlie on the doorstep. And here there's just like, it's not even a consideration. It's not even a thing. It's just like, yeah, of course I'm going to kiss my boyfriend before I head off. Oh, and we have Nick looking at Charlie in the rear view as he drives away. Very symbolic of this whole journey for him of being apart, seeing Charlie getting smaller and smaller in the rear view, which is also really similar to when Charlie goes off to the clinic for his eating disorder earlier, where we see Nick getting farther and farther away in the rear view as Charlie goes off. So first we're at the University of Kent, which is quite close by. I love Elle's outfit. No surprise, she's always serving. They all look great.
What are you guys thinking of studying?
International relations.
International relations. Imogen, you shoot for the stars. And we have Nick kind of hanging behind, and we sort of get his reticence right away.
Do you do much art in your spare time? I haven't lately.
Oh, and we even get to see Elle being inspired by the art that she sees on the walls here, even if it's not her dream school.
I don't want to stay in Trim.
Yeah, same. I don't want to go somewhere with a big queer scene. I need my people around me.
And that's so common. Like, I think college or university in this case is such an important time, not just getting away from the home that you're used to and maybe the influence of your parents, learning how to be your own person, learning how to be an adult, but also for queer kids, it's an opportunity to go somewhere where you can find more people like you and have a community, especially if you come from a small town or something like that.
What did you like about Kent? That's your top choice, isn't it?
Be nice to live at home. My mum won't be on her own and be close to Charlie.
Very telling that when he's asked what he likes about the University of Kent, Nick's answer is, I can live with my mum and be close to Charlie. Nothing about the school, nothing about what he likes about it specifically, just literally only the location.
What about when Charlie goes to uni the next year?
Imogen asking the real questions.
If he leaves, then you'll still be apart.
I love that we see Nick in the small space of the rear view mirror at this moment and really get to see the change in his expression as he thinks about this, because, I mean, that's the truth. Like, even if he goes to Kent, unless Charlie also goes to Kent, which, I mean, but, like, the separation still might occur.
Yeah, that's true.
And all three of them are like, University of Oxford.
You don't mind sharing with me?
Why would I mind?
Girls and boys sharing a room.
Girls and boys can just be friends.
It's weird how I used to like you.
It's weird how I used to like you.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Oh, no, not weird. No,
Going into this, you can kind of sense that Imogen is trying to broach the topic, trying to get into the subject of her sexuality with Nick, but isn't really sure how to do it. And so goes with, isn't it weird that I used to like you? It's really interesting too, like that we have them sitting on their different beds, kind of separated from each other, like trying to bridge the gap between them physically as well as emotionally.
I'm not sure I did like you like that. I think I kind of felt pressure to have a boyfriend. I liked having attention from boys. Made me feel important. I don't think I've ever liked a boy.
I love that Nick is the one who Imogen is confiding this to. I mean, obviously, Tara, Darcy, Elle, any of them would have been a person to talk to, someone who would understand. But I love that she's telling this to Nick. Especially, it's also kind of a mirror of, while he didn't come out to Imogen after he stood her up for the date that they were supposed to go on, you know, after Charlie's birthday party, he did come very close to coming out to her in the things that he said. So it's kind of like she was the first person outside of Charlie who he had kind of had that conversation with. And now here we get to see the reverse, where Nick is the first person she's talking to about this situation.
Sorry, that probably makes no sense.
I get it. Sorry, that probably makes no sense.
I think I get it.
I love this arc for Imogen. One of the things that I love about the show is that it shows us so many different ways to be queer. There are so many different ways to be queer and so many different people coming at it from so many different points of view. You know, we have Charlie, who's known since he was little that he was gay. We have Nick, who only realized, oh shit, my disc is almost full. Oh no, I'm saying important stuff now. Oh wait, I'm gonna empty my recycle bin. We have Nick, who realized he was bisexual only after being attracted to Charlie. And then we have Imogen. We have Imogen, who's been pushing away her feelings this whole time because she's been doing what she thinks she's supposed to be doing. She's been, you know, following the social cues, following the path she's supposed to lead, and not embracing the part of herself that says, oh, hey, she likes girls. And I love that Nick just is quiet here. He just lets her talk.
Who even am I?
You're my friend.
Aww. I love that moment of comfort from them. Okay, and normally I would stop closer to the middle of the episode. I think we're about 10 minutes in rather than 15. But my hard drive is just about out of space. So I need to stop before the video stops itself. So we will pick up next time with the rest of the episode. And yeah, look forward to that. So until then, please like the video, leave a comment. Quite honestly, my videos have not been doing great lately. A big part of that is that a lot of them are getting blocked. So if you have a moment to like the video, leave a comment, go watch some of my other videos. You can also join the Patreon. There's lots of things you can do. But yeah, for no money at all, you can just like and comment on the video, and that would be very much appreciated. So, okay, so thank you so much for watching. Huge thanks as always to our patrons who are so amazing, so wonderful, so fantastic, so. And a special shout out to our Nick Nelson members, Paul Z, Kim Engel, Angela Moondragon, Tanya, Kent Smither, and Vrodo. And Vrodo, let me know if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, because my instinct is to go a Frodo direction with it, which makes me want to say Vrodo every time I see it. Vrodo Baggins. So anyway, all right. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, whatever time of day it may happen to be, and I will see you next time.